We have arrived at the Yas Marina circuit located on the Yas Island of Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates for the running of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the penultimate race of the 2014 championship. Coming into this weekend, having seen the Drivers' Championship being wrapped up the previous race, 3 team news have made the headlines. The first team news is that after a tough decision, Force India have announced the driver that will partner alongside Fedra Vedrina next season. That man being current Sauber driver Rick Yan. Rick, who is currently in his second year in the top class, has had another impressive season in a car that hasn't been as impressive as last year's Sauber. He currently lies 14th in the Drivers' Championship, tied with Julius Anderson, and he's currently beating his teammate Oliver Glazebrook in the Drivers' Championship as well. His move to Force India will be a huge boost for him as he looks to get right into the sharp end of the midfield group. This news could potentially mean that Michael Mocho will yet again miss out on a drive in 2015, but we will have to wait and see. The second and final team news this week is that, to the surprise of everyone, Toro Rosso have announced that they will retain their current drivers Franco Gamba and Robert Hunter for another year. This is a surprise to many, as Toro Rosso in the last few years have had a tendency to change at least one of their drivers the following year. However, for 2015, despite a shaky year for the team where they currently lie last in the Constructors and for the former GP2 champions as well, Toro Rosso will break that mould and retain the pair of them, with both Franco and Robert determined to put this year behind them and focus on bouncing back in 2015. This also means Julius Anderson is now in a tricky spot, with 3 of his choices now being gone. The only one left in his choices is McLaren, but that is more likely to be taken by current Sauber driver Oliver Glazebrook, so it looks likely that Julius will be out of a drive, which would leave fans baffled, as it would feel like his third place finish at Monaco would end up coming to nothing, but only time will tell. In other news, current Red Bull driver Robert Ionescu is on a final warning with GP4OC as a result of vile and disruptive behaviour in the stream chat. Throughout the last couple of seasons, Robert's attitude in the stream chats has brought into question several times, to the point where drivers, moderators and even hosts are getting tired of it. Robert is banned from this week's chat, however from Brazil onwards, if he ends up being disruptive again, he will be kicked from the league for good. Lucas Krebs has been banned for the remainder of the season as a result of his disruptive behaviour, but it could be permanent if temporary host for 2015 and 2016, JWF1, decides not to let him back in, which is a decision he has got to make before this weekend due to the GP2 drivers being announced at Brazil. And finally, in other news, speaking of Brazil, the test drivers of 2015 will also get announced along with the GP2 drivers next week, meaning that if drivers miss out on the drive for 2015, they have a chance of becoming the test driver for a team they apply for in the sign-ups, and it also gives up-and-coming drivers in the lower categories a chance to get behind the wheel of a top-class car during a practice session. So who will end up getting a test driver role in 2015? We will wait and see. And that is it for this week's edition of the GP4OC News. Just 5 more seats are left to be filled now for 2015, which consists of the remaining seat at McLaren, the remaining seat at the new Haas team, both seats at the renamed Mana Marussia team, and most importantly, the remaining seat at Mercedes. Those 5 seats will get announced at the final race of the season next week, which is the Brazilian Grand Prix. So who will get the final 5 seats for the 2015 season, and who will end up missing out on the drive? Find out in the final practice session of the season next Monday.